There's this powerful, invisible threat out there, one that could literally bring our entire modern world to a grinding halt. And no, this isn't something out of a sci-fi movie. It's not some new weapon. It actually comes from the very center of our solar system.
So, what are we talking about here? What is this silent threat? I mean, what could possibly have the power to shut down everything? Your phone, the power grid, all of it, without making a single sound.
Well, like I said, the answer isn't something from a movie. It's a real, natural phenomenon, and it comes directly from our own sun. Yeah, so let's really get into what this means.
All right, so we're talking about a silent threat from space. Let's break down exactly why these events from the sun pose such a unique danger to our way of life.
We usually think of the sun as our friend, right? It's this constant source of light and warmth. It's what makes life possible. But there's another side to it. It can also erupt with just unimaginable force, blasting these massive waves of energy right out into space.
And that brings us to the main event, storms that are literally born from the sun. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's actually happening during one of these things. Okay, so the technical term for this is a geomagnetic storm. But what does that really mean? Well, to put it simply, it's what happens when a huge blast of energy from the sun just slams right into Earth's magnetic shield. It's basically a massive cosmic collision happening right over our heads.
So how does this all go down? It's basically a three-step process. First, you've got the sun erupting. It shoots out billions of tons of charged particles. Second, these particles travel across space, and sometimes they're aimed right at us. And then third, they smash into our planet's magnetic field. And boom, that's what triggers the geomagnetic storm.
And here's the wild part. We can actually see this happening. You know the beautiful northern lights, the aurora? That's it. That's the visual evidence of this powerful collision. They might look peaceful and beautiful, but what you're really seeing is a sign of an absolutely immense amount of energy hitting our planet's atmosphere.
Okay, so a pretty light show, what's a big deal, right? Well, the problem isn't the light itself. The real problem is what all that energy does to the technology that, let's face it, our entire world now runs on.
And just look at this list. It really shows how vulnerable we are. We're not just talking about the internet and your cell phone. We're talking about GPS navigation, the thing that guides your car, but also cargo ships and airplanes. We're talking about all those critical satellites orbiting the Earth, airplane communications, and of course, the power grids themselves. Even our banking systems and the stock market. It's all connected, which means it's all at risk.
Just seriously, take a second and think about that. Imagine your city in a total blackout, not just for a few hours. I mean, no phones to call anyone, no internet to find out what's going on, no power for lights, for your fridge, for hospitals. That's the potential reality we're facing here.
And look, this isn't me just making up some crazy what-if scenario. The thing is, history has already given us a pretty terrifying warning about what the sun can do.
And that's really the key thing to remember. This isn't just imagination. This has happened before. It's a documented event, and it's basically our main blueprint for what a worst-case scenario looks like.
So to really get a handle on the risk, we have to go way back to 1859. There was this massive solar storm called the Carrington Event. Now, back then, the most high-tech thing they had was the telegraph system. And this storm was so powerful that it completely fried the circuits. Telegraph wires were literally sparking, and some operators even got electric shocks. Now, just think about today. We've gone from a few telegraph wires to a global web of fiber optics, massive power grids, and thousands of satellites. We just have so much more to lose now.
So you might be wondering why we're talking about this so much right now. Well, it's because the sun goes through these cycles of activity, and we are currently in a very active one. We've already been seeing reports in 2024 and 2025 about strong geomagnetic storms hitting Earth, and people are seeing those auroras, those northern lights, in places way farther south than usual. All this activity just means the probability of a really big one is higher.
Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. Knowing everything we know and seeing these warning signs, are we actually ready? Are we prepared for the next big one? And the answer to that is, well, it's kind of complicated. It's a mixed bag. The good news, we have scientists at places like NASA watching the sun 24/7. And power companies do have emergency plans to try and protect the grids.
But here's the bad news. Predicting the exact strength and impact of a storm is still really, really hard. A storm that looks kind of weak can suddenly become incredibly powerful with almost no warning. And that gives us very little time to do anything about it. So that leads to the really scary question, doesn't it? Could a massive solar storm, like a modern-day Carrington event, knock us into a global blackout? Not for a few hours, but for days, or even weeks? Now, the experts will tell you that the statistical probability of something that bad happening is low. But, and this is a really, really big but, the impact, if it did happen, would be catastrophic. It's the classic definition of a low probability, high consequence event. And that right there, that's exactly why we call this the silent threat. It's invisible. It travels silently through space. It's unpredictable. And it has the power to just completely shatter the technological backbone of our entire way of life. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. In a world that's more plugged in and technologically dependent than at any other point in human history, are we really taking this risk seriously? Are we truly ready for the silent threat that comes from our very own sun?